Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Mike here, Whale Life Outdoor Survival. Y'all, Season 5, Episode 5 of The Alone Show. The title of the show, The Bowels of Hell. You'll see why in a minute. Alright y'all, we start out day 20, 7 people. First person they start showing, Britt. Okay. Um, Britt's catching fish, talking about redemption, how he's in it for the long haul, has a really good mindset. He is actually surprised with his rate of success. And I think this season or this episode, he catches 9 fish. Let me see. I got notes here, y'all. Yeah, 9 fish. Trout, grayling, pretty good eating fish. Uh, um, Britt's talking about how his number one fear is being ripped apart by a grizzly bear. Mongolia brown bears can smell fish for up to 20 miles away. Okay, Britt's catching these fish, he's cooking them stuff, but um, Britt's actually cooking these fish away from his camp. He has another, um, just a cook site, I guess you call it, instead of a campsite. It's just a cook site where he cooks the fish down by the river where he catches them. Um, it says, let me see here. You know, I mean, that's a great idea. That's what you should do. Um, Now, later that night, Britt hears a bear um, really close to his camp. You can hear it panting, growling, huffing. Um, these bears, these brown bears, they could actually crush your skull with one bite. I mean, this could be a dangerous situation, y'all. Um, which Britt gets his air horn and his bear spray, his pepper spray for bear ready, and sitting there waiting. And you know, night goes on, no big incident, anything. But the next morning, Britt's out walking, away from not far from his camp, pretty close to his camp, and he finds scratches on trees. And these bears will do this as like a territorial marking. They just claw the trees and stuff like that, and kind of lay out their territory, like kind of like a buck deer rubs his own horns on trees and makes what we call rubs. Still pretty much the same thing. Okay. Next, the show goes to Brooke. First thing we hear from Brooke, she says her stomach's growling. You can actually hear it. Says she really needs to eat. Said that should always be your first priority. That's what Brooke says. Says she's talking about other foods and stuff, and Brooke says that she hasn't even seen a deer, which the deer here are, what are they called? Siberian deer. Yeah, Siberian deer. And they only average 21 inches tall. Y'all, that's not very tall for a deer. I mean, around here, I mean, you're looking at, I don't know, probably 3.5, 4 foot tall deer, average deer around here. But uh, says she says that so since she hasn't seen a deer, any kind of big game, which they're thinking about big game. That's a good thing. If you could harvest big game, that would definitely be a big bonus, a big boost to kind of supply you with food and stuff. And so Brooke, she decides to try to do some fishing, and I guess instead of catching live bait, she actually takes a little piece of wood. She tells on the show what kind of wood it was, but I can't remember, y'all, and I didn't write it down. But she makes like a little spinner bait and puts in front of her hook. Okay, it kind of imitates the movement of small bait fish and stuff like that for larger fish to eat. And Brooke's talking about how she's trying to stay busy. She's made some birch bark bowls, um, jewelry. I know she made like an earring with feathers and stuff. Made a necklace, a bracelet out of I think birch bark. Pretty neat looking stuff, really, y'all. I mean, look like she's done a real good job. And but she's talking about keeping her mind occupied to keep from thinking about what she's missing. Um, when she was fishing, while she's fishing, she's talking about this stuff. Fish aren't biting for Brooke, y'all. I mean, they're not biting. Um, see here. Next, we go to Jesse. Okay. This is I think day 21 or somewhere around day 20, 21. Okay, y'all, Jesse has already lost 24 pounds. He really needs some calories. He needs to intake some calories. Um, Says he's having to fight for every scrap, is what Jesse actually says. He's not getting much food at all. Says he's kind of thinking and looking and, looking at other resources. And that's always a good idea, y'all, to always weigh your options, look at the resources you have, and, not just to like take from that one resource only, but to alternate back and forth or have a variety of calories and stuff. So, Jesse says he noticed that there's lots of pine trees. Well, y'all, the inner bark of pine is actually edible. Okay, so Jesse says he is tired of the starvation game, and y'all, at times that's what this show comes down to. It's a starvation game. How long can you go without eating? I mean, sometimes that's what it comes to. You see Jesse, he cuts a small tree down, starts taking the outer bark off. He actually shows on the show how to remove the inner bark. He just takes his knife, slides through it, peels it off. And y'all, you can eat this stuff raw. Uh, it's actually kind of like our blood vessels. It's where this part of the bark is where the tree actually has veins that takes everything from the roots up to the tree and leaves and stuff like that. Um, that's where you get like the nutrients and stuff. That's what it does. It carries nutrients from the ground to the rest of the tree. And this tree bark is an antioxidant. Antioxidant. It's high in vitamin C. I think 1 pound, it says, contains, contains 500 to 600 calories. Y'all, a pound of that inner tree bark, I'm gonna tell you, that's a whole lot of tree bark. I mean, it's just a pound, but a pound of tree bark is a lot of tree bark. Um, so Jesse is drying. He takes the little strip, he just strips it off, takes it inside, hangs it up inside a shelter, and dries it for a couple of days to where he can crush it to actually make flour out of, like a flour substitute, more or less, y'all. Okay. Now Jesse's talking about constipation. Says he's feeling like he's getting bound up. Says he hasn't had a bowel movement in 2 weeks. That morning he says he woke up with a headache, abdominal pain, and says he feels just exhausted. I think that was on day 24. And in the last 2 days, Jesse has eaten a half a pound of the tree bark, the pine bark. Okay. So Jesse starts grinding the bark up, making flour out of it. Says that way your body, it will be easier for your body to digest. You crush it up, make a flour out of it, mix it with water, cook it that way, and it's easier for your body to digest than it is just straight off the tree because of the density of it and stuff like that. But Jesse says he has not had a bowel movement. This is day 24. Jesse has not had a bowel movement since day 8. Okay. He starts getting severe abdominal pains. I mean, y'all, it cringes him. It puts him down on all fours on the ground. Well, y'all, Jesse tapped. He couldn't take any more. He tapped out. So that leaves 6 people. For the next episode, 6 people. Next person that shows Larry. Okay, Larry, he wakes up with hunger pains. He said he's been eating mostly dandelions, and dandelions can become a diuretic and lead to dehydration. But in Jesse's situation, if he would have eaten some of these, now I don't know if he ate dandelions or not. I'm not judging. I'm not saying this or that, but I'm not saying he's right or wrong. But knowing that dandelions, just like turnip greens, y'all, you ever eat turnip greens, eat a lot of spinach, it will make you go. Maybe if Jesse had eaten it with the tree bark and maybe a smaller amount of tree bark, or if he'd eaten, tree bark and alternate, eat some dandelion greens, that might have helped. I don't know, but it couldn't have hurt. I mean, it might have helped. And I think one reason Jesse wasn't going to the bathroom because he wasn't actually taking in a lot. And if you're not putting anything in, you're not getting a lot out. I mean, and then the tree bark, I guess that just kind of bound worse. But anyway, I hate Jesse went home. I thought Jesse was going to do honestly pretty good this season. Um, I think if it hadn't been for the pain he was in and getting bound up, he would have probably stayed a while longer. I mean, honestly, I thought Jesse was going to go far. But like I said, Dave wakes up with hunger pains. He's been eating mostly dandelions. He can tell he's losing weight rapidly and says he's not taking in much calories, y'all. Less than 500 calories a day is what he's been taking in since he's been here. You need on an average day, you need it at home. You need a couple thousand. But dandelions are a good source of vitamin A and K. But, Larry says he's been having head rushes, lightheadedness when he stands up and just walking around, said he just gets lightheaded. And, y'all, that's a sign of dehydration, knowing he's been eating all these dandelion greens, going to the bathroom, not able to keep moisture, liquid in his body, hydration. And so he decides to try to catch some fish, okay? So Larry gets his fishing pole and all that rigged up, starts fishing. First fish, he loses. Then he catches pretty good sized fish. He's happy, shouting, screaming, woo, he's just tore up, y'all. And then he's getting ready to, cook his fish stuff and starts getting dizzy. He actually falls out, y'all, blacked out. Sorry, y'all. Farm equipment coming down the road. Alright, y'all. I apologize for that. And like I said, he falls out, he blacks out. I'm not sure how long he was out. I don't think it was long. But comes back to, gets everything situated, finishes cooking. And Larry is also cooking away from his camp, like a cook site, like we were talking about earlier. And y'all, that's my recommendation, especially if there's bears. I mean, any kind of predator, but especially bears, because like I said earlier, these brown bears in Mongolia can smell fish from 20 miles away, y'all. And you get to cooking it, fish smells stronger when it's cooked. I mean, you really got to watch these bears coming to. I mean, that's their food source. You're actually taking their food, And but Larry talks about he's gonna cut back on the dandelions, try to eat more fish, because of the dehydration and the diuretic effect of the dandelion greens. And it's just like here, y'all. You have to try to. You can't just eat one thing. I mean, you can't just eat greens. You can't just eat. I mean, you have to have different vitamins and minerals and nutrients and intake. And that's a big key of I think long-term survival would be several food sources, not just one. I mean, you need to try to harvest and gather everything you can. I mean, that way you have a variety. That way, you're not eating the same thing. You're not getting the same. Too much of anything can be a bad thing, y'all. And some of this stuff has vitamin K in it. Well, vitamin K thins your blood. That could be one of the things that's going on with Larry's, lightheadedness stuff. I mean, I'm not saying it is, but it could be. Okay. Sam, y'all. We finally see Sam. I think it's day 23 when they show Sam again, but Sam's drinking water that he actually caught in where the tarp comes down on his shelter, and he's got like a little pocket there, and he actually catches water, rainwater and stuff in there. You don't have to put a lot of effort into it. You don't have to purify it. You can just drink it, which, here's the bad thing though. Sam makes a comment about bird poop and leaves and dirt being in his water. Might not be a bad idea to, purify that, boil it down. I mean, I don't want to drink bird poop. I mean, whether it's going to make me sick or not, but, a lot of birds carry disease, and that's one of the things you got to consider. You got to consider a lot of aspects when you're out here in long-term survival, y'all. Um, you know, it, and, I was actually looking at some comments on my last video talking about YouTube. Uh, you can't, like, just, it's not the same as just, like, me going out here now and, you know, taking a fire starter and, catching some fish and, for a weekend. It's not like that. Uh, you got like, I think it's like 30 pounds of camera gear to lug around with you. Plus all the gear that you take, the 10 items they let you take, plus all your clothes. Lots of different things to look at that are different in the filming this show than there is in just going out here and using one camera to film a YouTube video and staying for a weekend and, or even, as a long-term situation. I mean, a lot of variable there, I guess. And, you got to look at, these guys are filming everything they're doing, all the clothes they carry with them, all the gear they carry with them, all the camera gear they carry with them, plus the time it takes to set up camera gear, the time it takes to video everything, record everything. And you got to do this while you're hunting, while you're fishing, while you're gathering firewood, while you're building your shelter, while you're purifying water. I mean, everything you do, you try to document while you're there. It's a little different aspect. I mean, I think that's one thing people don't get when they look at this TV show. It's not just like going out there and surviving. I mean, it's going out there, surviving, document it all, and, all this extra gear that, and only you should get out of your 30-some pounds of camera gear is recording. I mean, I don't think you can tamper with their gear to, use it for other, other resources. I mean, but, that's just, I want to make sure everybody understands that we don't see everything that goes on this show when we watch each episode. I mean, they take this part and this part and this part to make an interesting show, but I'm sure there are times where these people struggle setting up camera gear, and then you got to consider the weather. I mean, there are a lot of aspects to look at when you look at this show, and you got to look at it a little differently than you do a long-term survival situation or just a survival situation or a homestead. I mean, it's a little different when you're doing all this too, okay? And, Sam, one of the things he's talking about is the trees are starting to turn yellow and orange, and he said that means summer's over and fall's there, and I'm sure the fall's probably not, I don't really know, but I don't think the fall's going to be a very long period in Mongolia before it starts having winter conditions. That's just the way I would prepare for it. And it says during the fall, temperatures can drop as low as 10.8 degrees Fahrenheit. That's in the fall, y'all. Winter's going to be cold. Sam says that he knows it's about to get cooler quicker. So he's working on a more durable shelter, longer term shelter situation. He knows that a simple shelter isn't going to work, and because of the way he set up his shelter on season 1 in Vancouver, he set up just like a little, pretty much A-frame tent, tarp stretched over the top. Actually, it was a couple tarps, and I think Sam wasn't happy and comfortable very well in his shelter on season 1. And Sam makes the comment that he wants his experience to be more rewarding, and he wants to be there longer and make his stay more rewarding by being there longer. And that's a pretty good mindset to have. I mean, honestly. Okay. All right. Dave. Y'all, Dave starts out showing him putting on his jacket. He says that's his favorite jacket. Says he hears deer making rutting sounds. Well, that tells me, y'all, that it's between September and November. I mean, I'm not sure. I think that I've done some research on the deer and stuff in Mongolia, and that's when their rut hits, somewhere between there. Now here we have a pretty short rut, and when I say rut, y'all, I mean the breeding season for deer. And it's usually around November here, October, November, kind of that situation, so or that time of year. So, you know, that that gives you a pretty good time frame, especially Sam talking about the trees turning yellow, the leaves, and orange and all that. So fall's here, y'all. I mean, it's fall. Okay, I really, I really want Sam to do good. You know, I like Sam a lot. I think Sam, he was a young man. I'm not sure how experienced Sam was in season one, but I think Sam's matured a lot, and I think Sam could really go a long way in this show if he stays determined like he is. Um, I got my fingers crossed for Sam, y'all. But back today, we were talking about the time of year it was and the deer, and that's one of the things I've talked about before was you have to listen to the wildlife and you know pay attention to your surroundings and the terrain, the changing seasons, the climates. I mean, the wildlife. You really have to be aware of your surroundings in this situation, and that can give you a lot of information if you know how to read it, y'all. And I mean, honestly, that would be one of the key things in my opinion is observing and you know studying the wildlife, especially if you're somewhere you don't know the routine of the wildlife there. But you're out there, you got to be there. You might as well, pay attention, watch, observe, and take all this in and make a determination on where to set up to harvest some of this larger game and where they're going to eat, where they're going to bed. I mean, where they're going for water. All these are key things in harvesting big game, y'all. And that's one of the things I would do. Like I said, y'all, everything I do is my opinion and my opinion only. And if y'all notice, I'm trying to go a little faster. I'm trying to cut down the length of my videos when I'm doing these videos on the Alone Show. I've been average about 30 minutes. We're at 20 something now, 23 minutes. But I'm trying, y'all. I don't want to hold you up any longer than I have to. But I've really enjoyed the show. I like making the videos talking about the show. I have a lot of great conversation back and forth and comments and stuff with people over these videos about the Alone Show. Everybody has their opinion. I respect everybody's opinion and I welcome everybody's opinion. And I just want to tell you guys, I really appreciate and enjoy talking to you about this subject, about the show and the situation. It means a lot to me, y'all. And okay, so Dave is going to hunt a canyon 3 miles away. And you know how earlier I was talking about packing all this gear and stuff with y'all? Dave's got a full backpack. I mean, a big backpack full of stuff he's packing with him. Got his bow and arrow in his hand, and he's going 3 miles away. And in the previous season with Dave, um, Dave lost a lot of weight. Dave got skinny. He had the fish, smoked, dried, stored, but he wasn't eating a lot, and he lost a lot of weight, y'all. They actually pulled Dave because of his physical situation. I mean, how malnutritioned he was. And Dave doesn't want that to happen again. But he says he can feel himself getting skinnier. Okay? And says he doesn't want to wither away like he did before on season 3. He knows he needs sustainable food for the winter. Um, that's a big key. Not just food for now, but food you can preserve and sustain yourself on during the winter because more than likely you're not going to catch the fish you're catching right now during the wintertime. You may harvest some of the game, some of the wild game there during the winter, but I don't think you're going to be as successful in harvesting anything during the winter as you are previous to winter. I mean, that's just my opinion. Okay. Uh, Dave actually shoots a grouse, and when he hits the grouse, he hits it in the wing area, breaks its wing. The grouse still flutters off with his arrow, and Dave has to track it down. Um, Dave's really having an issue. We talked about this last time about Dave saying that he doesn't want to kill, but he has to eat. He's really feeling bad, y'all, about killing these animals. It really bothers him. Uh, he's talking about looking at other options, vegetarian style, just edible greens and stuff like that. So far, Dave has harvested 5 grouse and 1 squirrel. 1 squirrel. Well, Dave's talking about that's a lot of pain. And I don't know if it's just this that's wearing on him, or if it's being hungry and being there and being tired. We talk about the mental breakdown of being out there in this situation. Well, y'all, Dave starts to cry. Talk about how hard this is for him. Dave, I respect that, buddy. I really do. But, bud, I'm going to tell you, my opinion, when you're out there, you have to eat. You cannot let that bother you. I understand where you're coming from. I do. But your food intake, your harvesting animals and wild plants and stuff is going to determine, how long you're there. And if you want to be there a long time, if you want to make it to the end, I know it's hard, buddy, but you can't let this bother you. You have to eat. You have to, and I understand what you mean, especially if you make a bad shot, you wound an animal and you have to track it down, that animal suffered. I understand that. But y'all, like I said, you got to eat. You can't let this stuff wear on you. I mean, but like I said, I don't think that's just the only situation. I think it's because of, being tired, exhausted, being hungry, going without food, maybe a little dehydrated. I mean, it gets you emotional. It gets to you. It makes everything on edge, y'all. But look, y'all, I just want to do a quick video. I'm going to try to do a live stream here in just a little bit. More farm equipment coming down the road, so I just want to tell y'all thank you. I appreciate you watching. If you would, like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see y'all next time. Take care.